So this video is much more of a makeup of my previous video. So I did fix the Dreamcast. I did get a screwdriver to take it apart, and it almost went well. What happened is that the laser for the GD-ROM, which by the way, a GD-ROM is basically a more compressed version of a disc. It's better if you Google it. I am best better not explain it. But basically, the laser for the Dreamcast was starting to act all goofy. Because when I initially turned it on, it started clicking in. It's like, pretty sure plenty of you guys might know what a floppy drive is. It reminds me of like those floppy drives that were like clicking whenever they would like start up. It was one of those, and I panicked and turned it off. In which for a while, I had problems trying to get a disc to load up. So what I did was clean the laser, in which, when I had the parts, legitimately, I put it all the way back. That's what I did. And after that, I surprised myself because I had it in the power on position to discharge it, and it charged. So I scared myself, in which, I don't know how, but I think from what I did first, or maybe that, or maybe both, it fixed the laser. Wow. But anyways, this is much more of a video to explain what was going on with the Dreamcast power unit, or power supply unit. So generally, you guys already seen this. Well, this is not the one I opened up in the first video. This is actually darker. This has a darker board. This has a darker PCB board, unlike the other one, which is much more yellow. This is much more of a brownish orange. And as you can see on these capacitors, they don't seem to be doing too good. Now, I wish I had a flashlight, but I don't. And dang. Where the heck is it, man? Oh, there it is. And I need batteries for this. Legitimately, I need fresh batteries. So that way I can get decent lighting. Oh yeah, man. But jokes aside. So let me explain you the technical terms. Now, let me talk about a couple things. There's multiple parts to a PCB that over time have gotten smaller and more efficient. These are called capacitors. Let me find one. Ah, here we go. Let me go turn my phone. This is a resistor, and this, I want to say it's a fuse, so I'm going to say that. Please correct me down in the comments. But this little weird white and blue thing is an actual fuse. Now, oh yeah, and this is a transformer. This is a coil, I'm guessing. Actually, I'm pretty sure it has two coils. There's a couple chips inside. Actually, they're not really chips. They're not like a CPU or something. But they are for power regulation and such. But with it, well, can you see the black parts? Yeah, they weren't on the one that I unboxed. So what appears to be happening, and this is a common problem because, well, stuff ages. Nothing can last forever. Not even a completely 100% SSD computer that is using everything electrical. None of that. It doesn't matter what it is. It's going to wear out eventually. So what this is a capacitor. And this is probably not supposed to be there unless if you painted it. So this, from what I can assume, the guy has never taken apart his own Dreamcast. From where I bought it from. In fact, when I took it apart, it was extremely dirty. Once I do like a compilation of these videos and edit it down for it to be less time consuming and stuff, then I'll, then yeah. But basically, I'll make a new version of the video where it's just all three videos compiled into one. But basically, so this is not supposed to be here. And unless if the guy taking apart his Dreamcast and maybe even painted it, which he didn't, the Dreamcast itself was extremely dirty. This is not supposed to be here. Neither is this, here, or even on this tiny capacitor. It's hard to see, but it's there. So you might be wondering, what the hell happened? Simple. The capacitors were getting too old. And the problem itself is not exclusive to a Dreamcast. This specific problem is actually on anything that has a capacitor. So that means your phone, I think. I don't know. Do phones have capacitors nowadays? That computer you bought, your motherboard, anything, like almost anything will have a capacitor because it's a key component of electricity. Legitimately, when the capacitor invented, it revolutionized everything. So they're gonna keep on using it because, hell, why not? But anyways, back to where I am. Because of this, well, something that can happen, and from what I can guess, is either A, these capacitors would blow or inflate, or these were going to burn out. And chances are, I'm going to say that they're probably going to end up burning out. Now, normally most capacitors, when they fail, they start to inflate. So I'm guessing this capacitor was already reaching the end of its life cycle, which would make sense. These capacitors are very old. In fact, the Dreamcast came out 20 years ago. Yeesh, I forgot to celebrate it on its 20th anniversary. Yes, roast me in the comments. I deserve it. So since these old capacitors, now, before I say anything else, yes, it could, there are plenty of capacitors out there that are probably even older that still work. But, what I'm trying to say is that, well, these capacitors are failing. And either way, these probably might have been, kind of faulty capacitors. Here's something, generally is important within technology, electricity, so on and so forth. There's two forms of a product. There's the good form and the bad form. Well, within that, there's a new section I'm going to specifically reference, which is not important for new products, but when they get older, it will be important. With it, this capacitor is a good capacitor, but is a semi-good capacitor. Meaning, in the long run, this would have failed before a good capacitor. Or, who knows, this might be a bad one. But yeah, because of this capacitor problem exists within anything. If it has a capacitor, it exists. It's like Rule 34. Except for technology and capacitors. So because of this, basically what it did was replace these capacitors and also put in better ones that will work much more efficiently. In fact, this middle capacitor, well, this one is taller than this one. On the new one, it's actually shorter. The more you know. Thus far, disassembling the Dreamcast power supply was not that hard. Legitimately, it was a screw here, unplug this, and there was a clip over here that most people might not have seen. So just unclip that, take it off, lift it off, and there you go. But the one issue I had was trying to install it, or more accurately, it was my dad, because my dad helped me since I didn't have one of these, or I did, as you've seen in the earlier clips. But basically, there was one that was being finicky. So in which I removed these two, took off this one, and my dad installed it himself, but he failed in the way where basically originally he was gonna install it but was almost gonna screw up the thing that this was supposed to plug into. It's very important to power basically everything else about, this specific port is important because it powers the Dreamcast. I'm not joking, I'm serious. So because of this, well, one other thing happened. Since he jacked this up, I had to unscrew this, and unclip it, and unplug this cable, so that way I could lift it up a little bit, and then plug it back in, so that way it could fit. Then screw it, it already clipped in, and then replug in this cable. That was about it. There was an issue I had with the laser, as I already said. It already got that fixed, and honestly, I can't wait to start using my Dreamcast, yo! But that'll have to wait. One of the main issues is that what I would like to do is start streaming my Nintendo Switch and Dreamcast, but I have two issues, actually. One, since I'm going to be streaming off of my PC, if I were to do it now, there would be so much buffering, it wouldn't be funny. So because of this, I'm going to need to get a LAN cable or even move my computer to the dining table and try and, like, see if I can get my parents to help me. Or hell, move it where I'm currently recording my, or hell, even move it towards my current setup. Which is basically nearby this wall, so that way you guys don't have to see the rest of my room. I'm doing a rebranding, okay? So because of this, well, the more you know. Now, something I would like to do is eventually sell this, just so that way somebody could fix it and I can get some cash back. Generally, you can find these for dirt cheap. I could probably undervalue this at like $5, maybe $6 or $7. Generally, what I want to do is either give it to a recycling center or sell it to a shop that would like to use this, or sell it to a game shop that can repair stuff and would like this. But other than that, yeah, so this is what happened. Now, generally, there is something I would like to specifically talk about. I already have a pre-made list I made during school, during my spare time at school. So basically, I have a couple plans for a couple mods for the Dreamcast. And, my, it's gonna be a doozy. Now, generally, here's something I specifically want to mention. Even though I plan on doing these mods, I highly suggest, once I start doing a specific mod, okay, you know, I might as well get into it since I'm talking about it. So, I plan on eventually modding my Dreamcast down in the line, so that way I can future-proof it, because one thing I know, that GD-ROM ain't gonna last me forever. I got lucky. For the first time, and eventually it's gonna die. And B, well, there's a couple things I would like to improve, plus it would be really cool, or no, actually, it's gonna be important for me to refurbish the console, so that way I can have a functional freaking Dreamcast. So because this, eventually what I would like to do is spray paint the whole case, or even get a clear orange case. Now, little fun fact, the reason why I say this is so that way, is mainly because I remember I watched this video a long time ago, and more recent video, about this case for the GameCube called the Ice Cube, and it came in this awesome orange color with an orange handle. So I really would like to get me one of those. And if somebody can custom make an orange cube case, an Ice Cube case for my Dreamcast, then please tell me. I would like to send my Dreamcast to that person, so that way they can refurbish it and install a custom Ice Cube case. Well, that's if you're willing to take money. Yeah, I have to do that. Come on. So, because of this, eventually I'm going to have to put in a GDMU, or a GD, or more specifically, Gigabyte Disk Emulator. Basically, it's a little board where you can install an SD card. One of these suckers. Now, I'm pretty sure you can adapt it to microSD using an SD card adapter, which I have one installed on my computer as of now. This one is for an old 3DS. I'm gonna eventually just wipe it out, because I already have a 2DS with 4 gigabytes that I'm fine with, so. And even though I have a 3DS, I don't plan on using that. Plus, the cartridge slot is broke, so no. So then, another thing. Now, actually, I will get into two specific no, technically it's three. I will get into 3 specific mods that I plan on doing for my Dreamcast. Which will be replacing the fuse. Okay, so there's a fuse on the controller port, in which if you unplug a controller, it's gonna break. It's broke. So what I would like to do is replace that fuse with a self-healing fuse. And another thing I'd like to do is the Dreamcast has an internal clock that's powered by a battery. Now, this is not an unusual thing. This is quite normal for a lot of game consoles and even the Pokemon games. So with it, I would like to remove the battery and swap it out with a battery port and get a rechargeable battery of the same spec. So mod the controller ports and upgrade the fan. I genuinely would like to upgrade the dinky little fan to a bigger one, which will not only improve the performance of the console and help with cooling, which is very important by the way, and save on some power, which is going to be convenient for me, but also will not only help the console last longer, not only within power consumption, but also cooling, because the console needs to be cool. Not only that, it will be quieter. Anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Sorry I didn't record me installing the power supply. I couldn't do it, plus my dad was there, so I didn't want to reveal him. But eventually I will do a collage version. Follow me at JoshuaPacman616. See you guys later, and please comment. Specifically comment, because I would like some of that feedback. Like or dislike, depending on if you like this video. And subscribe if you want to. Please do so. And also put notifications on all also. Anyways, guys, see you guys later. And more specifically, see you guys on that collage video.